Why American motocross fans undervalue European talent. American motocross built its identity on a single story: if you can win here, you're the best in the world. That narrative stuck because for decades it was mostly true, but somewhere between Roger DeCoster's dominance in the 70s and the rise of global racing circuits, American fans stopped updating the script. European riders kept winning, just not always on American soil under American rules, and the perception gap widened into something closer to denial. This is not about patriotism, but about how a sports culture frames excellence, and how that framing creates blind spots large enough to miss entire careers. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Hit subscribe and stay in the gate with us for the next breakdown. Back to the video. The roots run deep. When motocross landed in America in the late 60s, it arrived as a European import. The bikes were European. The technique was European. The champions were European. Roger DeCoster won 500 cubic centimeter world championships between 1971 and 1976, then came to the US and beat Americans on their home tracks. Torsten Hallmann, Heikki Mikkola, Åke Jansson, these were not just fast riders, they were the template. Americans had to learn the sport from scratch, and they learned it from Europeans who were already dominant. That dynamic flipped in the 80s. Bob Hanna, Rick Johnson, Jeff Ward, David Bailey, Americans took over. And when Supercross exploded as a stadium spectacle, it became the centerpiece of American moto culture. The AMA Supercross Championship became the most visible, most lucrative, most media-saturated motocross series on the planet. If you won in Anaheim or Daytona, you were on magazine covers. If you won a GP in Belgium, most American fans never saw the race. That visibility gap created a perception problem that persists today. American fans equate dominance with Supercross dominance, because Supercross is what they see. The MXGP World Championship, the actual global standard for outdoor motocross, runs on different continents, different tracks, different soil, and draws a fraction of the American media attention. So when a rider like Antonio Cairoli racks up 9 outdoor world titles, American fans either don't know or don't weigh it the same as a single AMA Supercross crown. Cairoli is the clearest case study: 9 MXGP championships between 2005 and 2017. He dominated the premier class of outdoor motocross for over a decade, riding against factory competition from every major brand. His consistency, racecraft, and technical ability were undeniable, but because he rarely raced full AMA seasons and never committed to Supercross, American fans dismissed him as untested. The argument always landed the same way. Yeah, but could he beat Villopoto? Could he beat Dungey? As if winning 9 world titles required an asterisk unless proven otherwise on American dirt. The logic doesn't hold. The standard for greatness shouldn't require proving yourself in a single country's domestic series when you've already conquered the global one. That's like saying a Formula One champion isn't legitimate unless they win NASCAR. Stefan Everts faced the same dismissal a generation earlier. Everts won 10 world championships across 3 classes. He's the most decorated outdoor motocross racer in history, but he never committed to a full AMA season, and American fans spent years debating whether he could hang with Ricky Carmichael or James Stewart. The hypothetical became more important than the resume. When Everts did race AMA events, he showed he could compete. He raced the 1997 Unadilla National, demonstrating his speed against factory Americans on an unfamiliar track. But instead of settling the debate, his performance was framed as a one-off or an exception. The narrative had already hardened. European riders are specialists. Americans are all-rounders. Europeans succeed in outdoor because that's all they focus on. Americans succeed everywhere because Supercross forces adaptability. That narrative ignores the actual demands of MXGP racing. European tracks are rougher, rockier, more technical than most AMA nationals. Riders face hard pack, sand, mud, and elevation changes within the same season. The schedule runs longer with more races and more travel. Factory teams field deeper rosters, and the competition spreads across more riders rather than consolidating around 2 or 3 Americans. Winning 9 titles in that environment is not easier, it's just less visible to American audiences. The Supercross argument cuts both ways, but American fans rarely acknowledge it. Yes, European riders struggle in Supercross when they arrive mid-career, but American riders struggle in MXGP for the same reason: lack of familiarity with the tracks, the schedule, the competitors, and the technical demands. Ryan Villopoto raced the 2015 MXGP season, won one overall at Thailand, and showed speed before injuries forced his retirement after just 4 rounds. American media used that brief stint to suggest American superiority, but Villopoto never had the chance to prove sustained dominance over a full season. Compare that to European riders coming to America. Marvin Musquin arrived from Europe in 2011, spent years adapting to supercross, and became a consistent podium threat and race winner. Dean Wilson, born in Scotland, won multiple AMA titles across classes and podiumed in 450 supercross. Ken Roczen from Germany became one of the most electrifying riders in American supercross history, winning races and leading championships despite career-altering injuries. These riders adapted, stayed, and proved themselves over years, not one season. But the perception remains. If you didn't grow up racing supercross, you're not a complete rider. That's a cultural bias, not a technical truth. Supercross requires specific skills, tighter lines, rhythm section precision, and stadium pressure. But it doesn't require more skill than navigating a 35-minute MXGP moto through sand whoops at Lommel or rock gardens at Trentino. They're different disciplines. Excelling at one doesn't automatically translate to the other, and that cuts both directions. The media amplifies this imbalance. American motocross coverage is dominated by American riders in American series. Racer X, Pulp MX, NBC's Supercross broadcasts, they cover MXGP, but it's secondary. European riders rarely get profile pieces unless they sign with an American team. Their careers, rivalries, and achievements stay overseas, which makes them invisible to casual American fans. When those fans do hear about a European rider, it's often in the context of, will he come to America? As if that's the only validation that matters. This bias shows up in GOAT debates. American fans routinely rank Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart, and Ryan Villopoto above Stefan Everts, Antonio Cairoli, and Jeffrey Herlings, despite the Europeans holding more world titles and longer careers. The argument always hinges on supercross. Carmichael's 15 AMA championships, 10 outdoor, 5 supercross, get weighted heavier than Everts' 10 world titles because Carmichael dominated both disciplines domestically. But Everts dominated globally for 15 years, and his outdoor titles came against deeper international fields. The same logic applies to Jeffrey Herlings. Herlings has 5 world championships, 3 MX2, 2 MXGP, and over 100 Grand Prix wins. He's one of the fastest outdoor riders ever, with a pace and aggression that mirrors James Stewart's prime. But because Herlings has never committed to AMA racing, American fans rank him below riders with fewer titles. The hypothetical, could he beat Tomac in Supercross, outweighs the actual accomplishments. When Herlings did race the 2017 AMA Pro Motocross Championship at Ironman, he went 1-1, beating the top American riders. But instead of validating his speed, it was treated as a one-off. The context is missing. American fans don't watch the weekly battles in MXGP, so they don't see the racecraft, the pressure, the depth of competition that forged those careers. The stylistic argument is the weakest but most persistent. American fans describe European riders as smoother or more technical, which sounds like a compliment but functions as a dismissal. The implication, they're fast because they're calculated, not because they're aggressive or naturally gifted. Meanwhile, American riders get praised for raw speed and intensity, as if European riders win through strategy alone. Watch Jeffrey Herlings or Jorge Prado rail a berm at speed and tell me that's smooth over aggressive. Watch Tim Geiser absorb a rock section at Pietramarata and tell me that's technical over tough. These riders aren't winning on finesse. They're winning on speed, strength, and racecraft developed against the best outdoor competition in the world. The style difference is real, but it's a product of the tracks and training, not a hierarchy of talent. American tracks reward aggression and block passing because the schedules are tighter and the races are shorter. European tracks reward patience and line selection because the motos are longer and the terrain punishes mistakes harder. Both styles work, both require elite skill. The Motocross of Nations exposes this bias every year. Team USA dominated MXON from 1981 to 2017, winning 22 of 36 editions. That streak built the mythology. Americans are the best because they win the Olympics of motocross. But since 2018, the US hasn't won. European teams, France, Netherlands, Italy, have taken over, often fielding MXGP regulars who don't race in America. When Team USA lost, the excuses rolled out. Injuries, sand tracks, bad luck. When they won, it was proof of dominance. The 2022 MXON at Redbud finally broke the drought. Team USA fielded Eli Tomac, Chase Sexton, and Justin Cooper, three factory riders in their prime. They raced on home soil in front of American crowds on an American track, and they won. France finished second with Maxime Renault, Dylan Ferrandis, and Marvin Musquin. It was a statement win for America after 11 years, but it came with home field advantage and perfect conditions. This is not about tearing down American riders. Eli Tomac, Cooper Webb, and Chase Sexton are world class. But world class exists outside America too, and American fans miss it because the culture treats the AMA as the center of the moto universe. It's not. It's one series in one country, with one set of tracks and one style of racing. MXGP is bigger, older, and more diverse. Ignoring it doesn't make it less legitimate. It just makes the fan base less informed. The fix is not that complicated. Watch MXGP, follow the careers of riders who don't race in America. Respect titles earned on the global stage the same way you respect AMA championships. Stop asking, could he win in America? And start asking, why didn't American riders win more world titles? And it costs American fans the chance to appreciate some of the greatest careers the sport has ever seen. Speaking of European influence on motocross, the brands that dominate MXGP have shaped the careers of riders as well as their bikes, and one manufacturer made a choice decades ago that every other brand called backwards. KTM stuck with steel frames when the entire industry went aluminum. The reasons why tell you everything about how European racing demands drive bike development differently than American preferences. If you want to understand why bikes built for MXGP look and feel different than AMA machinery, that's where the story lives. Hit subscribe if this kind of deep dive moto analysis is your thing, and check out why KTM refuses to abandon steel frames when everyone else did.